May 10th, 1863. Dear Diary, today the traitor revealed themselves by saving Grant's life instead of letting him die. And their identity destroyed everything I thought I knew about loyalty and betrayal. The morning began with frantic preparations. We'd sent urgent telegrams to Grant at Vicksburg warning him about the Foundation's planned assassination, but there'd been no confirmation he'd received them. Telegraph lines to the Western Theater had been unreliable for weeks, possibly sabotaged, we now realized. We need to assume Grant doesn't know, Stanton said at our emergency meeting. Assume the assassin is in position and Grant is completely unaware of the danger. But then a telegram arrived that changed everything, not from Grant, but from the assassin himself. The message was brief and chilling. To President Lincoln, your warnings have been noted. General Grant will die today at precisely noon unless you meet my demands. Release Constance Blackwood and provide safe passage for all Foundation members currently in custody. You have until 11 a.m. to comply. The Foundation thanks you for your cooperation. It was signed simply, a friend. They're using Grant as a hostage, Davis said, reading over my shoulder. They know he's your most valuable general. They're betting you'll sacrifice Foundation prisoners to save him. Would you trade Constance Blackwood for Grant's life? Tell us what you'd do. Mary studied the telegram. The timing is too precise. Noon exactly. That suggests the assassin has a clear shot and is confident enough to announce the exact moment of attack. They want us panicking, making desperate decisions. Or they want us to refuse, Rose added, so they can kill Grant and use his death to demoralize Union forces. Either way, the Foundation wins something. I checked my watch. 9:47 a.m. We had just over an hour to decide whether to save Grant or maintain custody of the only Foundation leader we'd captured. We don't negotiate with terrorists, Stanton said firmly. Release Blackwood, and we signal that the Foundation can control us through threats. But lose Grant and we lose Vicksburg, possibly the entire Western campaign, Mary countered. Grant is irreplaceable. The Foundation knows that. Davis looked thoughtful. There's a third option. We pretend to negotiate while actually attempting a rescue. By time, send a team to protect Grant. From Washington to Vicksburg is over 1,000 miles, Stanton said. There's no possible way to get a rescue team there in 2 hours. Not a rescue team from here, Davis replied. But I have Confederate forces near Vicksburg who could reach Grant's position. If I order them to protect a Union general from assassination, that would certainly shock both armies. The audacity of it was staggering. Confederate soldiers protecting a Union general who'd been devastating their forces. But it might be our only option. Would your men follow that order? I asked. If it comes directly from me, yes. But Lincoln, understand what I'm proposing. I'm ordering Confederate forces to save your most effective general's life. That's not just alliance against the Foundation. That's active collaboration that will look like treason to many in the South. And asking my most valuable general to accept protection from Confederate forces will look like collaboration to many in the North, I added. The Foundation is forcing both of us to make choices that could destroy our credibility with our own people. But then Rose discovered something in the telegram that revealed an even deeper conspiracy. Look at the paper, Rose said, holding the telegram up to the light. This isn't standard telegraph paper. It's private stock, high quality, the kind used in government offices. She examined it more closely with a magnifying glass. There's a watermark. It's from the White House stationery supply. The room went silent. The telegram came from inside the White House. Stanton said slowly, "The assassin is here? In Washington?" "Not just in Washington," Mary said, her voice hollow. "Inside this building. Someone with access to presidential stationery sent this message pretending to be in Vicksburg." My mind raced. The traitor Constance had mentioned wasn't far away. They were right here, had been here all along, had access to the most secure areas of the White House. "Everyone who's had access to my study in the past 24 hours, I said quickly. "List them." Stanton pulled out a log. "You, Mrs. Lincoln, myself, Rose, Harrison, President Davis, 3 secretaries, 2 cleaning staff, and—" He paused, his face going pale. "And John Hay. John Hay, my personal secretary, the young man who'd been with me since the beginning of my presidency, who I'd trusted with my most sensitive correspondence, who had access to everything." "It can't be John," I said, but even as I spoke, pieces were falling into place. Hay's convenient absences during critical moments. His insistence on handling certain communications personally. The way he always seemed to know where I'd be and what I'd be doing. "Where is Hay now?" Davis asked. "He requested the morning off," Stanton said, checking the log. "Said he had family business to attend to." "On the same morning as Grant's planned assassination," Rose said. "That's not coincidence." I felt physically sick. John Hay, young, ambitious, seemingly loyal John Hay, had been the Foundation's agent all along. He'd been in my inner circle since before the crisis began, positioned perfectly to sabotage every operation, to feed intelligence to the enemy, to ensure the Foundation stayed ahead of us. "We need to find him," Mary said urgently. "He's the connection to the assassin. If we can capture Hay, we might be able to stop Grant's assassination." "Or we use him," Davis suggested. "If Hay doesn't know we've identified him, we can feed him false information about our response to the demands. Make the Foundation think we're complying while actually planning something else." But then Harrison burst into the room with news that made everything more urgent. "Sirs, there's been a development. We just received word from our agents near Vicksburg. Grant isn't at his field headquarters. He left yesterday for a personal reconnaissance mission to the north." "Where north?" Stanton demanded. "We don't know exactly. Grant often makes these solo trips to survey terrain. It's one of his tactical habits. But it means he's somewhere exposed, possibly alone, and the assassin might have followed him. So Grant was off doing exactly the kind of independent operation that made him brilliant, but also vulnerable. And somewhere out there, a Foundation assassin was tracking him. Can we reach him with a warning?" I asked. "Not in time. His reconnaissance trips are specifically designed to be unpredictable. He doesn't tell anyone where he's going or when he'll return." 10:23 a.m. Less than 90 minutes until the assassin's deadline. "We need to split our efforts," Mary said decisively. "One team locates Hay and forces him to reveal the assassin's position. Another team prepares to send Davis's Confederate forces to Grant's last known location. A third team handles the Foundation's demands to buy time. It was the only plan that made sense, but it required trusting people completely at a moment when trust had been shattered." "I'll find Hay," Rose said. "I can move through the city faster than military forces, and I know how to make people talk." "I'll coordinate with my forces near Vicksburg," Davis added. "Get them moving toward Grant's likely reconnaissance routes." "And I'll respond to the Foundation's demands," I said. "Make them think we're considering their terms while we work against them." Rose left immediately, taking 3 of her most trusted operatives. Davis moved to the telegraph office to send coded messages to his Confederate commanders, and I sat down to compose a response to the Foundation that would buy us time without actually committing to anything. "To a friend, your demands are being considered at the highest levels. We require assurance that General Grant is alive and will remain unharmed during negotiations. Please provide proof of life before we proceed with any exchange." President Lincoln. It was a delaying tactic, nothing more. But every minute we bought was another minute for Rose to find Hay, for Davis's forces to reach Grant, for us to prevent the assassination. 40 minutes later, Rose sent word. She'd found Hay at a small boarding house near the river. The same boarding house where Mary had run her intelligence operation before it was compromised. "He's not alone," Rose's message continued. "There's a second person with him. Female, matching description of Anna Carroll. Thought she was dead, but she's alive and apparently working with Hay." Anna Carroll, Mary's friend who we thought had been murdered by the Foundation. She was alive, and apparently she'd been working with them all along. Or had she been captured and forced to cooperate? I arrived at the boarding house with Stanton and a squad of soldiers, and what we found inside revealed a conspiracy within the conspiracy. Hay and Anna were in the upper room, surrounded by telegraph equipment and coded documents. But they weren't trying to flee or destroy evidence. They were calmly waiting for us, as if they'd expected our arrival. "Mr. President," Hay said as we entered, "I'm glad you figured it out. We were running out of time to reveal ourselves." "Reveal yourselves?" I said, confused. "You're Foundation agents. You've been betraying us from the beginning." "No," Anna Carroll said firmly. "We've been pretending to betray you. We're the Foundation's betrayers, not yours." Over the next frantic 15 minutes, they explained. Hay had been recruited by the Foundation years ago, before my presidency. But he'd immediately reported this to Anna Carroll, who'd been running her own counter-Foundation operation for decades. The Foundation thinks I'm their agent inside your administration. Hay explained. I've been feeding them information, carefully selected, mostly accurate, but always missing crucial details. They trust me because I've given them enough real intelligence to seem legitimate. And the telegram about Grant? I demanded. Wasn't from me, Hay said. Or rather, it was sent using my name, but I didn't write it. Someone else in the Foundation sent it, using my identity, probably as a test. They're paranoid about moles, so they occasionally send messages that should only come from their agents to see how targets respond. So you're not the traitor Constance Blackwood mentioned? Mary asked, arriving with Rose. Oh, I'm definitely the traitor she mentioned, Hay replied. But I'm a traitor to the Foundation, not to you. And the reason I'm revealing this now is because we've run out of time. The Foundation has a backup assassin I don't know about, one of their deep cover operatives who doesn't communicate through normal channels. Anna pulled out a map marked with locations around Vicksburg. We've been tracking Foundation communication patterns. The backup assassin is definitely in position, but we haven't been able to identify them. They're a ghost. No confirmed sightings, no intercepted messages, nothing but inference from secondary effects. Then how do we stop them? Davis asked. We don't, Anna said bluntly. We can't stop an assassin we can't find. Our only option is to protect Grant well enough that the assassin can't complete their mission. I checked my watch. 11:04 a.m. The Foundation's deadline had passed. Either Grant was already dead, or the assassin was waiting for a better opportunity, or something else was happening that we didn't understand. Then a telegram arrived from Vicksburg. My hands shook as I opened it. Mr. President, Confederate forces have arrived at my position claiming to be under orders from President Davis to provide security. Either you've formed the strangest alliance in military history, or I'm about to be captured by the enemy. Please advise immediately. U.S. Grant. What do you think Grant's reaction was when Confederate soldiers told him they were protecting him? He was alive. Grant was alive and Confederate forces had reached him. But now we had to explain to our most important general why enemy soldiers were guarding him. I composed a response quickly. General Grant, accept Confederate protection. We have intelligence about assassination attempt on your life. We'll explain everything when secure. This is not capture. This is alliance against common enemy. Trust me. Lincoln. Minutes passed like hours. Then Grant's response came. Mr. President, if you're asking me to trust Confederate forces with my life, this had better be one hell of a common enemy. We'll accept protection, but keeping my weapons loaded. Grant. It was as much agreement as we could hope for. Grant was safely guarded. The assassination had been prevented, and the May 10th attack had failed. But then Anna Carroll revealed why she'd really brought us to the boarding house. The telegram about Grant was a distraction, Anna said, pulling back a curtain to reveal a wall covered with photographs and documents. While you were focused on Vicksburg, the Foundation moved their May 15th timeline forward. They're attacking today, right now. Multiple targets simultaneously. The wall showed a horrifying array of locations, government buildings, military installations, civilian infrastructure, all marked with times in the next few hours. The Foundation knows you captured Constance Blackwood, Hay explained. They know you have their files. So they're accelerating everything, hitting all targets before you can use the intelligence to stop them. How many targets? Stanton asked, his face pale. 17 we've confirmed. Possibly more. The attack started 10 minutes ago in Philadelphia. New York is next, then Baltimore, then Washington. As if to emphasize her point, we heard a distant explosion. Not close, but loud enough to rattle the windows. Somewhere in Washington, one of the attacks had begun. The munitions factory, Stanton said immediately. That was from the Arsenal District. They've bombed the Washington Arsenal. More explosions followed. The cascade of attacks the Foundation had planned for the entire week was happening right now, compressed into a single day of coordinated terror. We need to evacuate critical personnel, Davis said. Get congressional leaders to safety. Move the cabinet to secure locations. No, I interrupted. That's what they want. They want us scattered, panicking, unable to coordinate. We need to stay together, maintain command, direct the response from a single location. Where? Mary asked. The White House might be compromised. The Capitol definitely is after we raided the Foundation headquarters. The one place the Foundation has already hit and can't hit again, Hay said. The boarding house network where Mary ran her intelligence operation. They raided it weeks ago, cleared it out. They won't expect us to return to a compromised location. It was insane enough to work. We moved quickly, evacuating to Mary's old intelligence headquarters while explosions continued across Washington. As we ran through streets filled with smoke and chaos, I caught glimpses of the damage. Buildings collapsed, fires spreading, people screaming. The Foundation's accelerated assault was working. Not to kill specific targets like Davis and me. We were mobile, protected, aware. But to create the chaos and terror that would destabilize both governments just as effectively as assassination. But when we reached the boarding house, we found someone waiting who revealed the final piece of the Foundation's plan. Secretary Seward sat calmly in the main room, a pistol resting on the table beside him. His face showed no surprise at seeing us, only grim satisfaction. "William," I said, shocked. "What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you, Abraham. I knew you'd come here eventually." Hayes' communications have been predictable, even when he thinks he's being clever. The horrible truth crashed over me. Not Hay, not any of the people we'd suspected, but William Seward, my Secretary of State, one of my oldest political allies. "How long?" I asked quietly. "Since before you were nominated for president. The Foundation needed someone in your inner circle who you'd never suspect, who had the political credibility to manipulate decisions without raising questions. I've been their most effective agent for 3 years." "You sent the telegram about Grant," Mary said, understanding. "Using Hayes' identity to distract us while the real attacks were prepared." "Precisely. And now I'm here to complete my mission. The Foundation's demands are simple. Both presidents surrender themselves for public trial, or the attacks continue until there's nothing left of either government to lead." Davis moved his hand toward his weapon, but Seward was faster. His pistol was already aimed at both of us. "Don't make this difficult. You've lost. The Foundation has won. The attacks are happening. The public will be terrified, and the only way to stop further destruction is to give the people scapegoats. You two, working together, betraying your respective nations. It's the perfect narrative." "People won't believe it," I said. "Won't they? We have documentation of your secret meeting in Richmond. We have witnesses to Confederate forces protecting Union generals. We have evidence of your joint operations against conspiracy theories that most people still don't believe exist. The Foundation has shaped the narrative perfectly. You'll be seen as traitors who invented a phantom enemy to justify collaboration with the enemy." He was right. The Foundation had played a longer game than we'd understood. Every action we'd taken to fight them had been documented, cataloged, and prepared for use against us. Our alliance would be portrayed as treason. Our evidence of the Foundation would be dismissed as fantasy. Our attempts to protect both nations would be presented as attempts to rule both nations. "So you're going to shoot us?" Davis asked calmly. "If necessary. But I'm hoping you'll be reasonable. Surrender, stand trial, and perhaps the Foundation will show mercy. Some attacks might be called off. Some lives might be saved. But then something unexpected happened." Rose, who'd been standing quietly near the door, spoke up. "William Seward, you've made one critical error in your analysis." "Oh, and what's that?" "You assumed I was Lincoln's spy. I'm not. I'm the Foundation's spy, and I'm under orders to ensure both presidents survive until May 15th so the public executions can proceed as originally planned." She shot Seward before anyone could react, the bullet striking him in the shoulder and knocking him backward. Chaos erupted. Stanton lunged for Seward's fallen pistol. Hay tackled Rose, grappling for her weapon. Mary pulled me behind cover. Davis moved to secure Seward. "Rose is Foundation?" I shouted over the struggle. "No," Anna Carroll yelled back. "She's not. She's playing him. Look." I looked more carefully. Rose wasn't trying to shoot anyone else. She deliberately wounded Seward in a non-lethal location. She was giving us time, creating confusion, forcing Seward to react without thinking. And it worked. Seward, wounded and desperate, shouted, "Beta Protocol. Activate Beta Protocol now." He was calling for backup, revealing communication methods, exposing protocols we hadn't known existed. Rose had tricked him into giving us intelligence by making him think she was allied with him. Beta Protocol is their emergency communication system, Rose explained as Hay helped secure Seward. It's how the Foundation coordinates when standard channels are compromised. Now that we know it exists, we can intercept it, trace it, Use it to identify other agents. You could have warned us you were going to shoot someone, Stanton said, still shaken. If I'd warned you, Seward would have seen your reactions and known it was a trick. It had to be genuine surprise. Anna was already at the telegraph equipment, working furiously. I've got the beta protocol frequency. Messages are coming in now. Seward's call for backup triggered a flood of responses. I'm seeing identification codes, locations, operational status reports. How many agents? Davis asked. Dozens. Maybe more. They're all responding to what they think is a legitimate emergency call from Seward. It was the break we needed. The Foundation's entire network, revealing itself because they thought one of their top agents was under attack. We were suddenly seeing the full scope of their operations in Washington and beyond. Get this information to our forces, I ordered. Every name, every location. We start rounding them up immediately. But the attacks are still happening, Mary pointed out. Stopping the operatives doesn't stop the explosions that are already in motion. Seward, bleeding and defeated, actually laughed. You can't stop them all. The Foundation planned for every contingency. Some targets will be hit no matter what you do. And when the public sees the destruction, when they see their government unable to protect them, they'll believe anything we tell them about who's responsible. He was right that we couldn't stop everything. But we could stop some attacks, save some lives, prevent enough destruction that the Foundation's narrative of complete government failure wouldn't be believed. Stanton, coordinate with military forces, I said, moving into command mode. Hit every Foundation location Anna identifies. Davis, contact your forces in the area, Confederate and Union working together to respond to attacks. Mary, Rose, work with Anna to decode the beta protocol messages and predict what attacks are coming next. We worked furiously as explosions continued across Washington. Each detonation was a failure, a place we hadn't protected in time. But between explosions, we had successes, Foundation agents arrested, explosives discovered and disabled, attacks prevented. What emerged over the next brutal hours was something the Foundation hadn't anticipated. Union and Confederate forces, working together in full view of the public, responding to a crisis that affected both nations. Citizens seeing their enemies cooperate to save lives, protect infrastructure, maintain order. The Foundation had wanted to use the attacks to prove government incompetence. Instead, they'd created a situation where both governments, proved they could rise to meet extraordinary challenges. May 10, 1863, evening. Dear Diary, the attacks have stopped. Not because we prevented them all. We didn't. 15 locations were hit across 7 cities. 347 people died. Countless more injured. Property damage in the millions. But it could have been so much worse. William Seward sits in a cell beneath the War Department, wounded and defeated but still defiant. He insists the Foundation will simply rebuild, recruit new agents, try again. Perhaps he's right. But today proved something important. When Americans, Union and Confederate, soldier and civilian, leader and follower, work together against a common threat, we're stronger than any conspiracy. The Foundation wanted to shatter us. Instead, they've shown us we can be whole. Tomorrow is May 11th. 4 days until May 15th, the date the Foundation originally planned for their final assault. They've accelerated their timeline, used up resources, revealed agents. But Constance Blackwood's words haunt me. The Foundation exists in 12 countries, has members in every major government. We've wounded the American operation. We haven't destroyed the Foundation itself. The final battle is still coming. May 15th will still be significant, even if the specific attacks we prepared for have changed. The Foundation has something planned, something we haven't seen yet. But now we face it not as isolated leaders being manipulated by shadows, but as allies who've proven we can trust each other, work together, sacrifice for each other. Grant is alive. Davis and I are alive. The alliance holds. And the Foundation's victory is not as certain as they believed. For days. Then we end this, one way or another. But the Foundation's final plan for May 15th wasn't about explosions or assassinations. It was about something far more devastating. A choice that would force both Lincoln and Davis to decide between their principles and their survival, between their nations and their souls.